So when it comes to JoJo's, Jolyne is probably the most underrated character in the entire series, but when it comes to anime and manga as a whole, she is easily one of the most overlooked female characters ever, which is just crazy to me. The amount of people that I've seen downplay the greatness of her character is insane, and if you are a fan of the character like me, then I'm pretty sure that you can relate. But even if you're not, I would still recommend that you stick around for the rest of this video. So without any further ado guys, let's get right into it. Now to start off, we're gonna discuss Jolyne's personality, which many people have stated to be very uninteresting, and this is mainly because they choose to just pass her off as a female Jotaro, which is just crazy to me because her being a female version of Jotaro just isn't true at all. Yeah, she shares things in common with him, like having her own iconic Yare Yare quote, being headstrong, quick thinking, rebellious and badass, but that's not her entire character. She's also been seen to be very emotional, gullible, carefree and sarcastic as well. All of these other different character traits that Jolyne has have all been very well established and can easily be highlighted a lot throughout part 6's story. Don't get me wrong, I love Jotaro too, but compared to Jolyne, he is a way more stoic and quiet character who doesn't get as much development as she does. Speaking of development, this is another aspect of Jolyne's character that has been heavily downplayed before as well, and the reason why is because some people don't think it's as compelling, impactful or relatable as the character arcs of the previous JoJo's in the series. Now considering that JoJo's is a series that is primarily aimed at male audiences and has been since the beginning of part 1, most of the JoJo fandom is made up of guys, so based on this I can understand to an extent why many of the people that did read or watch part 6 would struggle to find Jolyne's arc or just her character in general to be relatable, because she is a female character and a lot of people that read and watch stories tend to self-insert themselves within the main character of that said story, sometimes without even realizing it. And not gonna lie, but I've done it before too with some stories myself. This can especially be the case with shonen stories, as a lot of them are power fantasies that are meant to entertain and inspire the youth. I don't think it's simply an issue of misogyny within the anime community or the JoJo community like some people think, but it does definitely exist. In fact, I have seen it before in real life from someone before who told me that they loved the previous parts but kept complaining about Stone Ocean because the main character was a female. So yeah, unfortunately gender bias does exist within the two communities, but thankfully not to a large extent, especially in the JoJo community, at least from my experience. Now, even though I can understand the struggle of relating to Jolyne and her character arc, I'm still going to argue that you can and should be able to, at the very least, sympathize with Jolyne and understand her situation, while also taking a objective look at the many things that she has had to go through within the story from start to finish, because doing so will allow you to realize just how truly compelling and impactful her character arc really was in Stone Ocean. In the beginning of Stone Ocean, she was somewhat smart and cunning for sure, but she was also very helpless, gullible, inexperienced and naive, and it's because of these weaknesses that she ends up sent to jail for 15 years because of a crime that she didn't commit, and she also ends up bullied by her fellow cellmates at the beginning of the story because of this as well. She also started off as very whiny and somewhat annoying in the beginning when it came to her daddy issues, which is understandable when you think about how absent Jotaro was from her life. But as the story progresses, she evolves into a literal badass, because once her father's life is in her hands, she matures, putting aside her resentment and risking everything to save him by enduring hard battles, injuries and losses, with every one of these challenges only serving to strengthen her in the process, not just physically but mentally as well. We also see this development in her character design, because in the beginning she looked very soft and skinny, but later on she looks more physically hardened and muscular, and it's a artistic choice that I really love because it reflects her amazing development in story. Speaking of character character design. A lot of people have downplayed her character design, saying that she looks ugly or that she looks like a man, which is just crazy to me. I think Jolyne is a very beautiful looking character. Yeah, she does have a few masculine traits. Yeah, she is tougher than most female anime characters, but she's definitely not a guy. She's still a female. She's still a girl at heart. And yeah, I think she's a very beautiful looking character with a very beautiful and attractive looking character design. But yeah, getting back to the character design part of things, not only does this positive character arc help to further prove that Jolyne is not a female Jotaro, but it also helps to dismantle the argument that her character arc is less compelling and impactful compared to that of the previous main JoJos. But before I explain the reasons why, please make sure to like the video if you've been enjoying it so far. It is the easiest way to support the channel and it helps spread the video to more viewers like you. Now then, back to the video. Now, as much as I love the previous main JoJos that came before Jolyne, I'm gonna be honest with you, none of them get nearly as much character growth or development as she does, nor do I find their character arcs to be as interesting either. It's not because they are badly written characters. The reason why is because a lot of the JoJos that came before Jolyne were more static compared to her when it came to their own character arcs. So because of this, they didn't go through as much development as she did, because her character arc had no static qualities mixed in, -1, but I'll delve more into that later. But to get back to what I was saying about Jolyne's character development, it was just a straight up positive character arc from start to finish. Positive character arcs, for those who don't know, involve a lot of changing and development for the character by having them overcome obstacles that were too difficult for them to deal with before, mainly from a mental standpoint, whereas a character that goes through a flat character arc, like for example Jono Giovanna, they will instead always believe in their truth with determination against a doubtful and skeptical world. They may doubt themselves and the world around them from time to time, but in the end their will is and always will be unbreakable, while also influencing others instead of changing themselves. So pretty much this is the difference between characters with positive character arcs and characters with flat character arcs. But again, there are characters that will be a mix of both, like the main JoJos from parts 1 to 5, which I think is really cool. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I do prefer characters that go through a positive arc, as they've always been more compelling to me, but only the ones that are very well executed, and Jolyne's is executed to absolute perfection. And earlier I mentioned that she has one static quality when it comes to her positive character arc, and it's her ability to change the many characters around her. As we see in the story, her arc changes characters like Pucci, Weather Report, Hermes, Anasui, Foo Fighters, and even her father, Jolyne Cujoh. If it wasn't for Jolyne's character development, then the other main cast of characters would not have gotten involved with her at all, besides maybe Hermes and Emporio. Her arc also forced characters like Pucci and Jotaro to look at her differently compared to how she was in the beginning of the story, and because of this we see them acknowledge her growth and development later in the story as well. For Pucci, it is during his 1v1 fight with her, and with Jotaro it's when he comes too late to save her from Seamoon, where he also gives her the validation that she deserved by telling her that she had grown, showing that her character arc is actually far more impactful than many people realize, especially when compared to the previous main JoJos. Also, I'd even go as far to argue that there are very few female characters in anime and manga, and even light novels, that can even be put in the same tier as Jolyne, especially when it comes to the ones that we've seen in shonen. And if you've seen hundreds of shonen stories before like I have, then I don't need to really explain why. Now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of amazingly well written female characters out there in anime and manga, I'm not denying that at all, but you'd be hard pressed to find even 10 of them that are even as good as Jolyne, especially when it comes to having a very well written and executed character arc like she has from start to finish. Now the last thing I want to talk about in regards to Jolyne is her stand and overall strength as a fighter and main character. I've seen a few people downplay the greatness of her Stone 3 before, calling it weak, but not enough to the point of where I feel it needs much discussion discussion, as the general consensus of her stand for the most part is very positive, and as it should be, because Stone Free is a stand with an amazing design and ability that can be used in a lot of creative ways. For example, we've seen Jolyne use it to make ropes out of string, to support her weight, walk on water, swing from buildings, trap enemies and set up traps as well. It's genuinely one of the most versatile stands in the series, with some of the best fights, not only in Stone Ocean but JoJo's in general. Also, the name Stone Free comes from the Jimi Hendrix song with the same name, and the lyrics resonate a lot with Jolyne's story because it's all about breaking free from constraints and being true to one's self, which is literally the tale of Jolyne's story. She's trapped in a prison she calls her Stone Ocean, yet all she wants is freedom, so she's going to break out of that prison no matter what. It is a great piece of symbolism that really adds a nice bit of nuance to her character. Now, we've talked about her stand, but what about her perceived strength as a fighter and main character? Well, you won't see many people downplay the fact that she can carry herself in a fight. However, there have been a fair amount of people that have downplayed her role as a main character just for the simple fact that she wasn't able to defeat Pucci or deliver the final blow, which I can kind of understand, but at the same time I don't think that she should be labelled as a failure of a MC because of her loss to Pucci, especially when that said loss was also a sacrifice to help aid Emporio in defeating Pucci with Weather Report, the only stand that could realistically beat Made in Heaven besides Gold Experience Requiem. But anyways, Pucci winning the battle against Jolyne didn't matter because in the end he still lost the war against her and the Joestars. Also, Jolyne comes back to life anyway after his defeat. Yeah, her memories were wiped away, but her soul still remains the same. Even in this alternative life as Irene, she's still shown to be a very wise and mature character, just as Araki intended her to be. So overall, those are the reasons why I think Jolyne is an amazing character that is very underrated by the JoJo community, and especially by the anime and manga community as well. She may not be my favorite JoJo, but she is definitely up there for sure, and is undeniably one of the most layered and interesting characters done by Araki. But what do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more JoJo content. Also, if you're a big fan of Bruno Bucciarati like me, then be sure to check out the video on the right hand corner where I talk about why he is the GOAT. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy MAMZYY signing out. Take care and peace.